Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I am going to be talking to you about a $2 trillion stimulus package that has just been signed off by the President of the United States on Friday the 27th of March. I want to bring you this video as a small business owner myself, and I wanted to explain it to you in plain English because a lot of the time we can get lost in all of the bill and all of the hundreds of pages that are released, and we don't actually know what benefits us and what is helpful to us. So I thought I'd bring you this video and explain it to you in plain English. So I am a small business owner. I have owned my own business since 2003. I've weathered a few of these financial storms, this one being the probably one of the most shocking. So when this bill got passed, I decided that I wanted to read through this bill and find out what it entailed. So I thought I would bring this information to you in plain English, the way I have interpreted it. I am not an expert, I am just a small business owner, and I want to help other small business owners understand how this bill can be beneficial for them. So within this $2 trillion pandemic package, there has been $10 billion earmarked for small businesses in the form of a grant. Now, this grant gives every small business $10,000. However, there is a caveat to that. There is only $10 billion. If you divide $10 billion by 10,000, that gives you 1 million businesses or small businesses that will be able to claim this grant. The problem with this is that there are approximately 30 to 45 million small businesses in the US today. So this is really time sensitive, and it really is a first come, first serve deal. So you need to be really quick with this. If you want to apply for it, I want to go through how to do that with you. Some businesses have been affected by this pandemic, some businesses haven't. What I would say is that you should apply for this grant whether you need it or not, because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 3, 6, 9 or even 12 months. So it might be going great now, but we don't know what the future holds, and you're better to be in a position to apply for this before you need it than to wait and it not be available when you do need it. So with this $10 billion stimulus package that has been put aside for small business, you are actually applying for a loan. So let's get that straight. So it's a loan that you're applying for. In amongst applying for this loan, the government have said that they will give you a grant in the meantime before they can get to processing these loans. So irrespective of whether you are successful in applying for the loan, you will get that $10,000 grant if you are one of the first 1 million businesses to apply. I'm going to reiterate this, a grant is free money and it has nothing to do with the loan. So irrespective of the loan, you apply for this, you get the funding. So I've mentioned the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, a number of times already, and I just want to explain who the SBA or Small Business Administration are. They are a government agency that was set up to help small businesses and entrepreneurs to access lending and loans for their business and to help them grow, and also to offer advice on growing your business. So I just want to clarify, this $10 billion that you can apply for as a small business is for a $10,000 grant, which is free money. This has been set aside irrespective of the loan portion of what you're applying for as a small business. So you apply for the grant, and that's that $10 billion, but there's more money set aside in this stimulus package for loans on top of this. SBA, which stands for the Small Business Administration, have said that once you put your application in, it will take them 3 days to have the $10,000 in your account, which is a bold statement and a big promise, bearing in mind there's going to be 1 million small businesses applying for this grant. So I will be very interested to see how this pans out, and I'll be watching and updating you on the progress of this. Small businesses include corporations, whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp. Also, it includes LLCs. For sole proprietors, that's a business that could be just yourself running that business in your own name. As long as you're doing your tax returns with that information, that is a small business. And as an independent contractor, this means that anybody that received a 1099 qualifies to apply for this because you are an independent contractor. So the next part we need to address is, how do you apply for this grant? And up until today, Monday the 30th of March, you would go to the SBA website and download lots of paperwork that you had to fill in, and then scan the paperwork into your computer and drop it to the SBA's website. As of today, they are allowing you to apply online through an online form, which takes 2 minutes to do. It's really, really simple. I have left a link to the SBA's website for where you want to apply for this $10,000 grant. I'm also going to be sharing my screen with you as I go through applying step by step for both small businesses and sole proprietors and independent contractors. So stay with me, and I'm going to be going through how you do this. So we are now at the sba.gov website. I will leave a link in the description below. In order to apply for this loan and free grant, you'll see this orange taskbar here that says coronavirus COVID-19, apply for an economic injury disaster loan. And you want to click here, and it will bring you to the application form. Now, the application form is the same whether you are a small business, a sole proprietor, or an independent contractor. So I'm going to go through this application just the once, and I'll show you the options that you need to fill in depending on what kind of business you have. So we scroll down, you read about the streamlined process requirements, read through that, explains a couple of things there. And then you start with the eligible entity verification. So you need to choose one of these to make sure that you are eligible. So applicant is a business with not more than 500 employees. You would select this option if you are an S Corp or a C Corp or an LLC. You would select application is individual who operates under a sole proprietorship with or without employees or an independent contractor. So you would select this option if you're a sole proprietor or independent contractor. So I'm selecting the business one. The ones below are they are for different types of businesses. If you are that type of business, if you want to select that, then you can. You read through and you just select which business you are. And then the next section, we need to review and check all of the following. So the applicant, which is me at this point, must review and check all the following. If the applicant is unable to check all of the following, applicant is not an eligible entity. So applicant is not engaged in illegal activity as defined by federal guidelines. It's correct, I'm not. No principal of the applicant with a 50% or greater ownership interest is more than 60 days delinquent on child support obligations. It's correct, I'm not. Applicant is not an agricultural enterprise, e.g. farm. It's correct, I'm not. Applicant does not present live performances of a sexual nature. It's correct, it doesn't happen. Applicant does not derive more than 1/3 of gross annual revenue from illegal gambling activities. It's correct. Applicant is not in the business of lobbying. Don't do that. Applicant cannot be a state, local or municipal government entity and cannot be a member of Congress. That is correct. So once you've selected all of those that prove that you are eligible, you click on continue. So now we need to fill in the business information. Everything that you see with like a little red bar means it's a compulsory fill-in box. So I am just going to start. So it asks you for your legal business name. So it's going to be business one. And if I'm filling this in as a corporation or small business. So do I have a DBA name or doing business as? If I don't, it's again just business one. And then I need to fill in my tax identification number here. So fill that in. And if you're filling this in as a sole proprietor or a independent contractor, you would put your social security number in this field instead of your tax ID. And then organization type. So I'm filling this in as an S Corp, whatever you are, you would select it here. So you can see all the different options, you just choose which one you have. And then is the applicant a non-profit? I'm going to say no. If you are, you would say yes. Is the applicant a franchise? You would know the answer to this. I'm going to put no. So it's asking for gross revenues for the 12-month period prior to the date of the disaster. So it's asking for the fiscal year because it's asking from the 31st up to the 31st of January. So this is a fiscal year. So you need to look at your sales figures, your gross revenues from the 1st of February 2019 to the 31st of January 2020. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to make it a nice even 100,000. And then the next box is asking for cost of goods sold for the 12-month period to the date of the disaster, to January the 31st, 2020. Now, what this means is, did your business have to buy a physical good to resell? So if you have a grocery store, if you have a clothing store, you would buy a physical item to resell. If you are a CPA, if you drive Uber, if you're a doctor, then you don't have physical goods to resell. So if you did have a physical goods, you'd put that in here. So I'm going to put 50,000 in there. So as you can see, the rest of these boxes are not required fields, but you would enter the information if they apply to you. So then we come down further and we see some more red lines and little red stars, which means that we need to fill this in. So it wants to know what street we're on. We're on 1. Let's put Nowhere Avenue. And the city, let's put Ville. And then the state. And then the zip code. Phone number, and then your business email. So email@email.com. Now it's asking for the date the business was established. So if you don't know this date, you'll be able to find this information for certain states with the Secretary of State on their website. If you don't have a Secretary of State website, you can have a look at your SS4 form, which will also tell you the dates that your business was established. and then current ownership date. So this would normally be the date the business was established, unless, of course, you bought a business and then you would put the date you took over that business. But for this, we're just going to copy the date the business was established. Now it asks you for your business activity. So there's a lot of options there. So you find the option that really relates to what you do. So in this example, I'm going to put retail, and then it says detailed business activity. So it asks you for a little bit more detail once you've selected what you do. So I'm going to put clothing and apparel. And then the next question, it asks for number of employees. Now, if you are a corporation and you are paying employees, they obviously count. Now, if you are also paying yourself and you're paying yourself through payroll and you're paying tax for yourself and social security, then you are classed as an employee. So for this example, I'm going to put 5. Then we click on next. So it says, is your business owned by a business entity? So this is basically asking, do you physically own your business, or have you put your business in the name of another company that actually owns your business? I hope that makes sense. So for most people, this would be no, and you would understand this question probably better than I've explained it. So then it asks you for the owner's details. So we'll put Jane Doe. And then it asks for the mobile number, the cell phone number, and then it asks for the title. So if you're the owner, you put owner, manager, you put that, accountant, you select. I'm going to select CEO. Ownership percentage, I'm going to put 50%, and then the email at, and then you would put your social security number in. Date of birth. And then your place of birth. So for me, I was born in Manchester. Not a US citizen. Well, not yet anyway. So then you put your residential address in, which is, let's put again, Nowhere Street. And that's in Bill. And then if there's a second owner, which I put was 50% up here, we would click add additional owner and add the details for the additional owner. We would then click on next and the additional information that they require. So the first one they're asking you, in the past year, has a business or a listed owner been convicted of a criminal offence committed during and in connection with a riot or civil disorder or other declared disaster, or ever been engaged in the production or distribution of any product or service that has been determined to be obscene by a court of competent jurisdiction? The answer would be no. Is the applicant or any listed owner currently suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government or receiving federal grants or loans? Answer is no. Are you presently subject to an indictment, criminal information, arraignment, or other means by which formal criminal charges are brought in any jurisdiction? B, have you been arrested in the past 6 months for any criminal offence? C, for any criminal offence other than a minor vehicle violation, have you ever been convicted, pled guilty, pled nolo contendere, been placed on pre-trial diversion, or been placed on any form of parole or probation, including probation before judgment? The answer is no. So then it asks you if anyone assisted you in completing this application, whether you pay a fee for this service or not, that person
must enter their information below. So you will know the answer to this. If you completed it yourself, you don't enter anything in there. If somebody else helped you, then you enter their information in there. So that the next question is to do with the person that has helped you fill this in, if there has been anybody. But there's not been anybody that's helped me fill this in. The next section is, I would like to be considered for an advance up to $10,000. Now, this is really important. This is your grant, your free money, your money you don't have to pay back. Tick that box. Then it asks you where to send the funds, because the money will be directly transferred into your bank account. So you enter your bank name. You enter the account number first. And then you enter your routing or routing number. Okay, so you've got all that. It goes through terms and conditions. It explains what's going to happen next. It says that your certification as to truthful information. You then have to tick a box. It says, I hereby certify under penalty or perjury under the laws of the United States that this above is true and correct. When you've done all this, you click on next. I'm not going to click on that because it will submit the application and I don't want to do that. You click on next and that's your application submitted. You will come up to the next page, which will have your application number on that. I suggest you either print that information off, or you take a picture of it, or you take a note of the application number, so you've got information in case you need to.
So now you've completed the whole application for the grant or the loan. The next step will be that the SBA might come back to you with questions with regards to your application. In the meantime, once you've answered all those questions, if you are within the first 1 million businesses, they will transfer the $10,000 grant to your bank account. In the meantime, you might get a loan offer. You might be rejected for the loan offer. At this point, it doesn't really matter, because if you're just after the grant, then you'll get the grant if you're within the first 1 million, as it's a first come, first serve. If they don't reject you for the loan and you want to take the loan, go ahead and take it. If they do reject you for the loan, no big deal. You've got the $10,000 grant.